Facilitation TV. This is the program that gives you the practical tips that you can take away, use them in your workshops, in your meetings, and make sure that you're adding value to everything that you do as a facilitator. I'm Bevan Besson. I'm joined by my colleague Margo and Bevan. Welcome, Margo.
Oh, thanks, Bevan.
Beautiful. So our first question that we're going to look at today is around those times when there are agendas and so much is packed in. The client seems to want everything and they want it now. How's it go?
The important thing is to contract with the client when you first start off. And to be able to, one of the things that I usually do is ask the client, so what is the outcome that you would consider to be a really good outcome from this meeting? Now, if the client tells me that they actually want the community to have input and to have a lot of conversation going on, then I suggest to them, well, what have you worked out so far? And then if I get a list of, say, 25 speakers and 72 PowerPoint presentations, there's not going to be any time to have that client interaction. So one of the things that I would do is to try and focus the client back on, and if you're running a meeting, think about what's the meeting outcome that you want here. If you want input from your staff or the people who are participants, you're not going to get it by taking up most of the time in a didactic conversation. Yeah,
and I guess the practical tip for me in that case, Margo, is to be saying to myself and saying to the client, is this about telling or about asking? It's sort of like a little tip to say in your own mind, okay, is this really just a telling session? In which case it's a different beast. Yeah,
you're right. And I have had that situation, you know, where you're stuck with it. That's one of the things that happens as a facilitator. So in that case, what I've done there was to try and bring the community part of the session, of the day, up front. I sent out questions to all of the community participants so that they were pretty clued in, and when I arrived there in the morning, I sat down with those people and had a bit of a chat. Yep. So then when it was, and I made sure that the client actually created the space in the agenda to have that discussion before lunch. That meant that all of the participants in the workshop had a chance to go and grab that person and say, hey, that's what I'm thinking, or that's what our group think as well. So even within a limited agenda and a limited framework, you can still actually have an influence in there.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and one of the things I think that we try and do often is really try and bring that consultative, that ask type tone right to the front of the workshop. So there will be workshops where, if it's appropriate, I'll say, look, to the whole group or to the team that we have sitting around the table, look, I've been talking for nearly 3 minutes now. Okay, that's far long enough for me to be talking. Let's hear from you and throw straight to what's the issue that's really on your mind. Yeah. Model that input. That's what we want from this session.
Terrific. Great. Yeah. Yep.
All good. The other one where there's where you are forced with a client that is insistent they must have a number of presentations and speakers is to at least negotiate with the client. Listen, after every 2 or 3, just give us 5 minutes. That's all we ask. Shave 5 minutes off and we will do a really quick interactive, what's the key message you take away from this? And it will break that tone again. There is nothing worse than 5 or 6 presentations in a row, as you would know.
Yeah. People have gone to sleep by the time that number 5 comes along.
That's right. Okay, so some practical tips here. Hopefully they're going to help you add value. They certainly help us add value, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Bye for now.